Hello, and welcome to a video about something nobody enjoys but everyone loves to hate: taxes. Look, I get it. Filing taxes can feel like trying to perform brain surgery on yourself, blindfolded, while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. That's on fire. It's stressful, it's confusing, and the stakes are about as high as the national debt. But much like death and the fact that Nickelback somehow continues to release albums, taxes are unavoidable. So, in the interest of making this annual ritual slightly less painful than having your soul slowly extracted through your nostrils, we're going to break down the key tax filing deadlines for 2025. We're also going to sprinkle in some essential tips for filing your 2024 returns because, let's be honest, you probably haven't started yet, and that's okay. We're in this together, folks. Welcome to our guide on the key tax filing deadlines for 2025 and some essential tips for filing your 2024 returns. Our first stop on this whirlwind tour of fiscal responsibility takes us to January 15th, 2025. Now, you might be thinking, January? That feels oddly soon. And you'd be right. This deadline sneaks up faster than a politician's promise at a fundraising dinner. This, my friends, is the deadline for your fourth quarter estimated tax payment for 2024. Now, for many of you employed in the traditional sense, meaning you receive a W-2 and have taxes conveniently withheld from your paycheck like some sort of dystopian piggy bank, this might not apply. But for the freelancers, the independent contractors, the Etsy artisans, the dog walkers, and basically anyone who's ever received a 1099 form and thought, oh, this looks not good, this date is for you. The government, in all its infinite wisdom, expects you to pay taxes on your income as you earn it. And while that might seem reasonable on the surface, it also requires the average person to possess a level of clairvoyance typically reserved for fortune tellers and Miss Cleo. How are you supposed to know how much you'll make in a given year? The economy is more volatile than a raccoon in a coffee shop. Next up, we arrive at the main event, the headliner, the heavyweight champion of tax deadlines, April 15th, 2025. This, my friends, is the big one. The day you've either been diligently preparing for or frantically trying to forget about. This is the deadline to file your 2024 tax return, or to cower under your weighted blanket and request an extension. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, this all seems terribly complicated. Can't I just set a pile of money on fire in my backyard and hope the IRS takes the hint? And while I admire your creative spirit, I must, in good conscience, advise against that. Firstly, arson is generally frowned upon. Secondly, the IRS, much like a vengeful ex, always wants paperwork. So what are your options? Well, you can embrace your inner accountant, gather your W-2S, 1099-S, and any other relevant documents, and attempt to navigate the labyrinthine world of tax forms yourself. Or you can do what I do and pay a qualified professional to handle it for you. Think of it as an investment in your sanity. For our next chapter, we journey to the exotic locale of June 15th, 2025. Now, you might be thinking, June? John, are you sure you haven't gotten lost in the space-time continuum created by your own crippling anxiety about deadlines? And to that, I say possibly. But also, this date is very real and very important for a specific subset of taxpayers, those living abroad. That's right, if you're currently residing in a charming Parisian cafe, sipping espresso, and pretending not to understand the waiter's attempts to explain why they don't serve ranch dressing, this deadline is for you. If you're lounging on a beach in Bali, sipping a Mai Tai out of a coconut and contemplating the meaning of life, or at least the meaning of extra pineapple, this deadline is for you. If you're bravely facing the culinary wasteland that is a British supermarket, desperately searching for anything even remotely resembling decent salsa, this deadline is for you. June 15th is the deadline for U.S. citizens and green card holders living abroad to file their tax returns. Yes, even if you're living in an underwater research station, surviving on a diet of freeze-dried ice cream, and the faint hope of seeing another human being before you forget how to socialize, Uncle Sam still wants his cut. And now we arrive at September 15th, 2025. That's right, just when you thought you had escaped the clutches of tax season, it rears its ugly head like a particularly persistent case of athlete's foot. This, my friends, is the deadline for your third quarter estimated tax payment for 2025. Yes, you heard that correctly. We're back on the estimated tax roller coaster, folks. Hold on tight and try not to vomit. Remember all those lovely people we discussed earlier? The freelancers, the contractors, the Etsy entrepreneurs with more ambition than a squirrel trying to cross a highway? This date is for them, and you, if you happen to fall into that delightful category. The government, in its infinite generosity, has decided that you, the hardworking individual trying to make a living outside the confines of a traditional job, are not to be trusted with managing your own finances. Therefore, they require you to pay estimated taxes throughout the year, lest you be tempted to spend that money on frivolous things like rent, food, or, God forbid, healthcare. Our final destination on this thrilling adventure through the bureaucratic wilderness of tax deadlines is October 15th, 2025. This date is like the after-party for tax season, the one where everyone shows up in their sweatpants, nursing a mild hangover and a vague sense of regret. This, my friends, is the extended deadline to file your 2024 tax return. If you filed for an extension back in April, congratulations! You successfully delayed the inevitable. But now, the jig is up. The time for procrastination is over. The IRS, like a patient but ultimately unforgiving deity, expects its due. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, is there any way to get out of this? Can I fake my own death? Move to a remote island and live off the grid? Become a pirate? And while I applaud your ingenuity, I must advise against all of those options. The IRS, much like death and the passage of time, is inescapable. So, there you have it, the key tax filing deadlines for 2025. I know, it's about as exciting as watching paint dry while listening to elevator music on repeat. But hey, at least you're informed, right? And that's half the battle. The other half, of course, is actually filing your taxes on time and avoiding the wrath of the IRS. But hey, that's a topic for another video. Until then, stay informed, stay vigilant, and for the love of all that is holy, don't wait until the last minute to file your taxes. Thanks for watching. Make sure to mark these dates on your calendar and stay ahead of your tax filing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more useful tips.